Hi and welcome back. In this and the next lesson, we will implement the autoplay feature. It will work this way. We select the song out of the drop-down list. Then select the desired tempo and click on the play button. And the music starts playing. Wonderful. Okay, let's do this. In the original, the normal tempo is set as the default value. So we go to the index.html file, and we add the attribute called selected for the option tag with the value normal. Let's also remove these lines of code because we don't need them anymore. Save and refresh. Okay, now the default value is normal. In the drop-down list we have two songs, Jingle Bells and Happy Birthday. Let's search for the letter notes for the song Happy Birthday. We Google Happy Birthday letter notes. For instance, let's click on this image. We see which musical notes we need to press to play the Happy Birthday song. If we press GG, AG, and then CB, the first line of the song will be played. Alright, let's check it out. GG, AG, CB. To play the second line of the song, we need to press GG, AG, DC. Let's press GGA, GDC. Wow, we've just played a part of the Happy Birthday song. Awesome. Okay, we're going to store all these letter notes in the string variable. For this purpose, let's create a variable called Happy Birthday. So that we can type in letter notes in several lines, we need to use backticks. The first line has GG, AG, and CB. For the second line, we have GG, AG, DC. For the third line, we have GG, GE, and then CBA. Finally, we need to add FFE, and then CDC. Now we need to create a function that will be playing music by using these letter notes. So let's create this function and call it playSong. To play the song, we need to know two things. We need to know the letter notes and the desired tempo. So the first argument is called noteString, meaning the letter notes of the song. The second argument is the tempo at which we want the song to be played. To play these letter notes, first we need to split this string value into separate musical notes. To do this, we type in let notes equals to noteString.split. Let's split the string value by using the comma sign. We know that there are 5 octaves on our piano, but here the octave is not specified. We just use the variable notes. So let's agree to use the 4th octave for this song. We need to add the number 4 to each letter note, G4, G4, A4, G4, and so on. But these letter notes D and C belong to the next octave. That's why we add the number 5 to them. Then we have G4, G4, G5, E5, C5. B and A belong to the 4th octave. and all these letter notes belong to the 5th octave. As a result, in the variable notes we will have an array of different musical notes. This G4 is the array element with index number 0. The second G4 is the array element with index number 1. A4 is the array element with the index number 2, and so on. Let's create a variable called current note. As the initial value, we assign the number 0. After some period of time, we will be increasing the value of the variable current note by 1. So let's create a variable called interval. We use the setInterval function. Let's set 200 milliseconds as the value of this interval. The value of the variable current note doesn't have to be greater than the length of this array with the musical notes. To check it, we type in if current note is less than the length of the array called notes. Otherwise, we need to stop the execution of the setInterval function. To do this, we need to use the clearInterval function. So we type in clearInterval interval. OK, if the value of the current note is less than the length of the array called notes, then we need to search for the relevant button. So we type in letBTN equals to document.querySelector. The musical note with the data attribute dataLetterNote. I would like to draw your attention to one important thing. Here, camel case is applied in the name of the data attribute. But when we search for the element with this data attribute, then we don't use camel case. We need to write the data attribute letterNote this way. As you can see, all the letters are lowercase and the two words are separated by a hyphen. Now we need to insert the current note. To insert it to the string value, we need to use a template string. So change the quotes to backticks. After that, we add the equal sign, then the dollar sign, and a pair of curly brackets. It has to be the musical note with the index number current note. Next, we need to click on this button. To click on this button, we have to generate an event called mouse down. In fact, we already did this in one of the previous lessons. So, we type in letMouseDown equals to new event. And we add mouse down in the parentheses. Then we type in btn.dispatchEvent mouse down. Now we need to increase the value of current node by 1. So we type in current node ++. You might have a question. Why didn't we use the value of the tempo argument? Well, first I propose to make the playSong function work. And only then, when the function already works, we will add the feature of changing the tempo at which the song is played. OK, save all the changes and let's check how the function works so far. We need to call this function when the play button is pressed. To do this, we need to search for the play button. The button has the class pianoPlayBTN. So we type in letPlayBTN equals to document.querySelector. And we search for this button by its class name. We type in playbtn.addEventListener mouse down. Then let's call the playSong function. We pass the value of the variable called Happy Birthday. For now, let's set the number 2 for the tempo argument. Save and refresh. Click on the play button. Well, it worked, but partly. So let's inspect. We've got this error message. Why is that? Because here we used too many empty spaces, and all these empty spaces were counted as elements of the array. To fix this, for each musical note, we need to remove any empty spaces at the beginning of it and at the end of it. In other words, we simply need to apply the trim function. Save it, and let's check how it works. Wow, much better! Please notice that the keys are highlighted in blue even when we let the keys up. That is because the mouse up event had not been generated. So before playing the next musical note, we need to let the key up. To understand whether some key is pressed or not, we need to declare this btn variable outside of the function. Now, when the btn variable is declared outside of the function, here we just use the variable. We assign the value of the query selector to this variable. And before this, we need to check whether the button is pressed or not. So we type in if btn is pressed. In other words, if the variable btn doesn't have the value null or undefined. If this is the case, we need to let the key up before the next key is pressed. Well, it means that we need to create another event called mouse up. So if the key is pressed, then we generate the event mouse up. We type in btn.dispatch event mouse up. Let's check it out. Click on the play button. Excellent. Well, as you can see, the key that was pressed last is highlighted in blue. To fix this, before calling the clear interval function, we need to generate the event mouse up for the key that was pressed last. Aha! Here we need to change it to mouse up, and here we need to change it as well. Now let's copy this line of code with the event mouse up and paste it here. Save it and refresh the page. The last thing is that we need to have some logical pauses in the song. We need to implement a long pause after the first row of the letter notes. Then we need another long pause after the second row of the letter notes, and so on. To implement the pauses, we can simply add some empty elements to this array. To add the pause, we simply add a comma. Let's add here some pause as well. And also here. Let's have the longest pause after the letter note B4. Apply the same approach for all other rows. We added many commas, which are just empty elements of the array. We need to make it so that these actions will be executed only when the array element is not empty. We type in if node's current node.trim doesn't equal to the empty value, then these actions have to be executed. Otherwise, current node++. It's time to check how it works. Excellent. Just heard that one letter is not specified correctly. Just change C4 to C5. Wonderful! The famous happy birthday. That's all for this lesson. Take care and see you in the next one.